So PFL 2022 has completely wrapped up for the year. The championships are all done. We've got our winners, and PFL has the Challenger Series coming up. And as soon as I noticed that the Challenger Series was coming up and PFL announced it on their Instagram, I left a comment on their Instagram saying, PFL, do you need a talent scout? And guess what happened? It got no interaction whatsoever. PFL has absolutely no idea who I am. I'm a complete nobody in their eyes. They do not care about me whatsoever. But you know what? I've gone out of my way to try and help these guys out and find talent for their next season. And in my opinion, I'm really going out there and trying to find guys that I think could win the whole thing next season and make a real big name for themselves. So maybe PFL, maybe you should pay attention. I don't know. Maybe you might think I'm an idiot. I probably am an idiot. But anyway, the winner of the heavyweight division, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this video, was Ante Delija, and Matthias Scheffel was the runner-up. So I've got these prospects. I've got 12 of them in front of me, and they're split into two categories. The first category is guys that I believe the PFL could sign today. They fight next year in the season. They would at least get to the semi-finals, if not maybe even make it to the finals. They're that good of prospects in my opinion. And then the second area of guys are guys that in my opinion the PFL should put through the Challenger Series and see where they're at against other prospects around the world and maybe make a decision from there. But the first prospect on the line here, Oleg Popov, in my opinion, if the PFL signed this guy, he would make it straight to the finals, no questions asked. I think he's that good of a prospect. I really do think that he would beat most of PFL's heavyweight lineup right now, but there's an asterisk beside his name. Not Denis Stoshnik. That's not the asterisk. The asterisk is, I think that he's signed to Bellator on an exclusive contract. If he's not signed to Bellator on an exclusive contract, and this was potentially just going to be a one-off thing, PFL should swoop in on this guy right now before Bellator send him an exclusive contract and get him locked down. But if Oleg Popov is locked down, obviously he's not going to be able to fight in the PFL next year. But he does have a win over Antonio Silva, who just unfortunately has gone on a really bad KO loss streak. It's sad to see. That's definitely the reason why UFC will never sign this guy, because he fought Antonio Silva, and we do know how Dana White feels about that. But he's got a win over Marcos Brigagal, who's a really good prospect, and just really good wins in general. You know, like a lot of guys that he has fought haven't had the best records, I will admit, but he has looked good doing it. He's got a lot of finishes on the record, and you know PFL loves finishes. You get points for finishes, and that's how you get into the playoffs. So I feel like Oleg Popov would definitely make it into the semi-finals. Now the next guy here is Shamil Gaziev. Shamil Gaziev is a guy, he's a well-rounded fighter, and he also does have a few finishes in his record. A lot of very early first-round finishes to start off his career. And then he fought someone by the name of Kirill Kornilov, went to a very hard-fought decision, and won that decision by split decision. He's been fighting for multiple different organizations, Pro FC, Ares FC, Brave CF. That tells me that this guy very likely does not have an exclusive contract right now. He's a free fighter. He's someone that the PFL could swoop in and sign. And in my opinion, Shamil Gaziev, man, from the skill set that I've seen and the win over Kirill Kornilov, because it means so much, this guy probably could make it into the semi-finals. If not, he would have a very successful run in the PFL to start with anyway. I think that Shamil Gaziev is a guy they should look at. He's also from Bahrain. I don't think PFL's ever signed anyone from Bahrain. Now, Kirill Kornilov, the guy, he is coming off a loss, but I think that he's still someone that PFL should sign anyway. Split decision loss to Shamil Gaziev, the guy I was just talking about before. But Kirill Kornilov is a guy that a lot of people have had on their radar, man. He's been on my radar for a little bit before he lost to Shamil Gaziev. He's still on my radar anyway, obviously. I'm not that kind of guy, but he's got a win over Awakener Prado by decision, and after that he's got a couple of KOs in the first round. He's got a kickboxing fight as well. He's got a few kickboxing fights actually for Glory. This is a Glory kickboxer here, man. Like, this guy has got some really serious kickboxing skills. Shamil Gaziev was able to beat him. He is coming off a loss, but once again he's fighting for RCC, and I don't think that RCC or Ares FC are guys that are able to lock people down on exclusive contracts. I think Ares FC can, but I think maybe Kirill Kornilov is someone that PFL could pick up, unless he's on an exclusive contract. As I said, he's just a really good prospect, man. Heavyweight prospect, 6'5", coming off a loss, but I don't think that should matter. He would make it to the semi-finals, in my opinion, against PFL's current heavyweight lineup. Now, another one here, a little bit of an asterisk on his name again, because I think maybe this guy's got an exclusive contract with Eagle FC. He did get cut from the UFC, lost to Greg Hardy, Carlos Felipe, and Yajish Danho, which is a red flag. But he went on to beat Danielle Williams. He dominated Sean Asher, who's like a 41-year-old. And then he beat JDS by injury. So he's kind of got a bit of name value behind him right now. He's coming off that Junior Dos Santos win. I know that they're trying to build, and Junior Dos Santos was winning that fight as well. And maybe Junior Dos Santos, man, if he comes back from that injury, maybe Junior Dos Santos could be a guy that PFL swoops in and picks up and puts him in their lineup. But that's not who I'm really looking at here. I'm looking at Jorgen De Castro. He's a free agent right now, unless he's locked down by Eagle FC. We don't know. I don't know if he's on an exclusive contract, but point is, Jorgen De Castro, he brings a little bit of name value. I think he would have some success. He's a first round finisher. He's an exciting guy. I think he would have success in PFL. Now we're moving on to guys which you could sign directly to a PFL, or you could put them in the Challenger Series. The first one here is Alexander Soldatkin. He's 13-3 record on a very nice first round KO streak. In fact, that first round KO streak is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights deep. And a lot of these are like in the first minute as well. And we know how much the PFL loves first round finishes. You get a lot of points for first round finishes. Roger Souza is someone that I recognize as well, because he fought Kirill Kornilov as well, and he also fought Cyril Gane earlier on in his career. You know, like Roger Souza is a guy that's been in there with a lot of very good competition. He doesn't have the best wins in the world, but he is still a pretty decent prospect, and I lost him. But anyway, the point is he beat Roger Souza. The next one is Slim Trabelsi. This here is another one with a massive asterisk on it, because we know that the UFC tried to sign Slim Trabelsi for him to fight Parker Porter at UFC 280, and then apparently he's actually got an exclusive contract with Ares FC, so Ares FC does have exclusive contracts. Sorry, I was wrong before that. And there was that massive scandal with Ali Abdelaziz. He was actually sending threats of violence to the manager of Slim Trabelsi. Like, this was some serious stuff. What was going on. Or I think maybe Slim Trabelsi's manager is Ali Abdelaziz. Anyway, the point is, big asterisks on this guy, but he is a really good prospect. I don't know if PFL would be able to pick him up, but he would just be someone that you could sign, and I think that, once again, he would go very far, at least get into the semi-finals. He's that good of a heavyweight prospect. But do you want to have to deal with that Ali Abdelaziz drama? Does he have an exclusive contract? It's up in the air. Maybe it's someone you should skip just for the contract issues that's going on behind the scenes. Sergey Blostiny is another guy that I've got on my eye here. He is signed to nobody actually at the moment, sorry. He's been fighting once again at different organizations, coming off a win over at RCC over a 13-6 opponent. Before that, you know, he's fighting in ACA, ACB, pretty big deal promotions over in Russia. And then Open Fighting Championship as well, getting first round finishes. We know that PFL love first round finishes. In my opinion, this is a guy you want to put on the Challenger Series. You would have to fly him out internationally for the Challenger Series, so maybe they're not too keen on that idea, but maybe a guy that you could look into. Alikan Vakayev, same sort of situation, very good prospect. Another guy, I believe he's actually the ACA champion, so this guy probably is on an exclusive contract. He's got a win over Roger Souza. Who's a good prospect, who we talked about before. Shelton Graves as well as someone that I recognise. Having a look at Volkan Oezdemir, someone that you should know. And he lost to Ruslan Kaskanov, sorry, who was 16-8 at the time, and he was only 2-0. So you don't blame him for that loss. He's on a really good win streak now after losing to Volkan Oezdemir. Obviously, I mean, that does happen sometimes. Sometimes you lose to Volkan Oezdemir. A lot of people have. But since then, he's gone on a very good win streak, and he's beaten some very good competition. Once again, maybe someone that you could just sign directly, or put him in the Challenger Series. And one thing you might say is, well, Artem, you know, like, you're giving us some really good prospects, but they're all international. We're not going to be able to sign these guys to the PFL. So, alright, here's an American prospect for you. You can sign Thomas Peterson. In my opinion, Thomas Peterson's a guy that you're going to have to put through the Challenger Series. He's only 6-1, and he's only on a one-fight win streak. He did lose to Waldo Cortez Acosta, who is now like 8-0, 9-0, and he's actually signed to the UFC. So that's not too bad of a... He's 9-0 right now, and he's on a couple of win streak inside the UFC. So, yeah, I guess you wouldn't blame him too much for that loss, you know. And before that was a lot of first round finishes, and yeah, second round finish as well in his last fight. Put this guy, in fact, I actually genuinely believe this guy will be on PFL Challenger Series next year. Maybe he does or doesn't get signed, but I think you're going to see more of Thomas Peterson. Maybe you see Thomas Peterson in Dana White's Contender Series. Maybe you see Thomas Peterson in Bellator, UFC, or something like that. Thomas Peterson's got a bright future. PFL might be able to want to capitalize on this guy and get him before UFC or Bellator do, so going with Thomas Peterson. Brett Martin as well, another American prospect, another guy that you can put on the PFL Challenger Series, maybe even against Thomas Peterson. I don't know if you'd want to cancel the two out, but Brett Martin is a great prospect. He's got some sketchy wins though, like he beat Renan Ferreira, who's gone on to do great things in the PFL himself, but he won that by DQ, and he also beat Daniel James, who's actually a very big name right now in Bellator, because he come off that win over ranked Tyrell Fortune last time with a lot of illegal punches. But anyway, beat Daniel James by disqualification. Like, he's got 2 wins by DQ. It's pretty sketchy, I know. That's why you'd put him on the Challenger Series, in my opinion, and he's struggling to get opponents right now, so I think it makes sense. Put him on the PFL Challenger Series. Let's see if he's got enough to get signed. Another American prospect you would put on PFL Challenger Series is Jordan Heidemann. He's coming off the Ultimate Fighter. There's actually probably a few guys you probably could sign off the Ultimate Fighter, actually, because it's not like something that PFL hasn't done before. Jordan Heidemann, very good wrestler, very good prospect. He lost to Jack Puaga, but that does happen. You know, he ended up going into the finals and getting signed himself. He went 7-1 as an amateur. He's 6-0 as a pro, with good wins over 4-0, 6-2, 6-2, and 3-0. I thought that Jordan Heidemann was going to go on to win the whole thing. Unfortunately, he didn't. He lost to Jack Puaga. He's bounced back with a win over undefeated Daquan Buckley. I think Jordan Heidemann's just a guy that you should put on the PFL Challenger Series, see how he does, maybe sign him and make something happen. So, PFL. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I understand you've got PFL Europe coming up next year as well, and I will be doing PFL Europe as well. I'm going to be finding the European prospects. I know that PFL Europe isn't going to be as big of a deal as this whole PFL situation, so I'm not going to be going into guys that I think are going to win the whole thing, but if you don't want to sign them to the PFL, I feel like guys like Alekan Vakayev, Sergey Blastonov, maybe Slim Trabelsi, like these guys here, they're Eastern European fighters, you know, so you could put them on the Europe card. But yeah, PFL, pay attention, man. I'm really trying for you guys. I'm trying to give you guys a few good prospects, and the next video, I don't know what it will be on, but I am going to be looking at some lightweight prospects, some welterweight prospects. I'm going to be looking at them all. Women's 155, trying to find someone that can beat the Kayla Harrison or Larissa Pacheco might be an impossible task, because I feel like all the best women's fighters are signed right now, but you guys know what I'm trying to do. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, see you guys.